Professor Bibek Debroy, represents Center of Policy Research, joins us live from New Delhi. Bibek, good morning. Thank you for joining us. Bibek, you've been criticizing the government on this forum, so I guess time for you now to smile and applaud them. Let's start with a smile.
Yes, a smile, not a laugh yet.
Why not a laugh?
Well, because what's being done is not going to, by the way, the background, of course, is the 12th five-year plan document, which talks about an average growth rate of 8.2%. This year, we are unlikely to get 6%. The point I'm making is that in the remaining 4 years, we need an average growth of 9% or thereabouts. To get that, what has been done so far is not enough. What's been done so far is laudable, but it cheers the capital markets, it cheers the external world, it cheers foreign investors. But to get that 9% kind of growth rate, we need to address issues like land acquisition, forest clearances, environmental clearances, coal problems, and so on and so forth. Until that is done, I see no particular reason why investment rates are going to dramatically go up.
So Vivek, the next question, of course, is will the RBI tango with the government or not?
Actually, I'm not very sure whether I belong to that 97% or 3%. All logic suggests, given the inflation numbers and given the fact that we still don't have any credible scenario for the deficit, all logic suggests that there will not be any rate cuts today. However, the RBI is independent, but it's not truly independent in the sense that some pressure can be brought to bear. So I wouldn't be completely surprised if there's some cut, but I suspect it will be where it is today.
Vivek, I read your article in the Sunday ETN where you're making a case that, look, the long-term issues, the structural issues are still evident, and just because you've got 2 or 3 reforms, it will not kickstart the investment cycle.
Yes, absolutely, because I think the fundamental one is the land, the forest and the environment, which leads to the coal problem. Now, there have been reports about setting up a National Investment Board, but the National Investment Board cannot do something that violates the law of the country. And the fact of the matter is that we've got pending legislation, including on land, including on mines, which completely messes up things. And until those laws are passed, courts are unlikely to accept any land acquisition. So let us accept that we've got a very serious problem, and until one actually rolls back the provisions of those draft legislation, I don't really see how we are going to get much action going on investments.
So Vivek, sure enough, all these measures taken so far would help India to avert the sovereign downgrade?
Oh yes, absolutely. In fact, I do think that these measures were partly triggered by the threat of sovereign downgrading, and I'm certain that now we are not going to have that sovereign downgrading.
Vivek, the other important point is FDI and retail, and we've been talking about it, oh, this is a game-changing move, but in reality, this is a move which will be only supported by Congress run states. The non-Congress states are likely to block it. So if I'm an MNC, it's very difficult for me to commit money to this India because there is a huge political risk which is associated with my money.
Well, I'd look at it slightly differently, because it's not going to be a game changer, not because of the Congress and the non-Congress. I will react to that in a minute. It's not going to be a huge game changer because there are plenty of constraints in the agro-rural sector. And until we solve all of that, we are not going to have huge investments. We are not going to get retail organized. Plus, there are caveats like 1 million plus cities. There are caveats like 30% of sourcing has to be from India. So it's not going to be a big game changer either way. It's not going to lead to enormous disintermediation. It's not going to lead to enormous creation of employment. It's not going to lead to thousands of kirana shops closing down. Both of those gains and feared losses are greatly exaggerated. Having said that, I would not drive too much into this Congress, non-Congress part of it, because this is partly political cum public posturing. And once it gets off the ground, I think some of those non-Congress states which are growing fairly fast, which have a trading history, which have a manufacturing history, which have been doing well in agriculture, will eventually come around. It's somewhat reminiscent of what originally happened with VAT.
Final question, Vivek. In terms of policy action, in terms of key reforms, we are in a much better place than we were at least a month ago. GAR has history, we have a diesel price hike, FDI has been approved in key sensitive sectors. So suddenly, this government for sure is committed to do something.
Oh yes, absolutely. What still looms like a question mark, for better or for worse, is how is the Trinamool Congress going to react? But all indications suggest that it's not going to destabilize the government right now. So therefore, there's no imminent threat to the government. And I suspect that if one is going to be positive, one has to watch out for what happens in the next couple of months, particularly in the period leading up to the next budget, because that's sort of the window to get us to that 9%, not this year, but in the succeeding years.
You want to close the interview with a laugh or with a smile? I'll keep the option open.
Yeah, well, I will end with a smile. Thank you.